Have you ever been about to fall asleep when your brain suddenly drags you back into a conversation that happened hours, weeks, or even years ago? You replay every sentence, every pause, every joke, wondering if you sounded awkward or said the wrong thing. It feels as though your mind has pressed the replay button that you never asked it to press. If this has happened to you, you're not strange. You're experiencing something millions of people experience, and there are real psychological reasons behind it. Imagine leaving a gathering with friends. The evening seemed normal. Everyone laughed, the conversation flowed, and you headed home feeling fine. Then, halfway through your journey, one comment you made suddenly pops into your head. You wonder whether it sounded rude. By the time you get home, you've replayed the entire conversation 3 times. The next morning you're still thinking about it, while everyone else has already moved on. Why does the brain do this? Because it treats social interactions as important. For most of human history, belonging to a group increased our chances of survival. Being accepted meant safety. Being rejected could be dangerous. Although modern life has changed, your brain still treats uncertain social situations as something worth analyzing. One explanation comes from the Zeigarnik effect. Psychologists discovered that unfinished or unresolved experiences stay active in our minds longer than completed ones. If a conversation ends without clear feedback, your brain keeps it open like an unfinished task, searching for an answer that may never come. But that isn't the only reason. Your brain also has a negativity bias. Positive conversations are stored quickly because they don't require much attention. Awkward moments, however, are treated as valuable lessons. Your brain assumes that remembering them might help you avoid making the same mistake again. The problem is that after a certain point, replaying the memory stops teaching you anything new. Here's where things become even stranger. Every time you replay a memory, you slightly rewrite it. Memory isn't like watching a video recording. It's more like reopening and editing a document. A tiny pause becomes an uncomfortable silence. A harmless joke begins to sound offensive. The more emotion you attach to the memory, the more distorted it can become. Another psychological concept called the spotlight effect makes this even worse. We naturally overestimate how much other people notice us. You might spend 2 days worrying about one sentence you said, while the other person forgot it before they got home. Think about the last awkward thing someone else said. Chances are you can't remember it clearly. Yet your own mistakes feel unforgettable. There is also a difference between reflection and rumination. Reflection asks, what can I learn from this? Rumination asks, why am I always like this? Reflection ends with an answer. Rumination keeps asking the same question without moving forward. That's why replaying conversations often leaves you more anxious instead of more prepared. So how do you break the cycle? Start by asking yourself whether you're dealing with facts or guesses. Did the other person actually say they were upset, or are you imagining their reaction? This simple question interrupts many unnecessary thought loops. Next, remember that people are usually thinking about themselves. They're worrying about their own conversations, their own mistakes, and their own lives. Most people simply don't analyze you as much as you think they do. Another helpful habit is to replace perfection with curiosity. Instead of asking, did I embarrass myself? Ask, what did I learn? That small change shifts your brain from self-criticism to growth. Finally, give your mind permission to let conversations end. Not every interaction needs a perfect conclusion. Sometimes a conversation was simply average, and that's perfectly normal. Human communication is messy, imperfect, and full of small misunderstandings. That's part of being human. The next time your brain starts replaying a conversation at midnight, remember this. The replay isn't proof that something went wrong. It's your brain trying a little too hard to protect you. Thank it for trying, learn what you can, and allow the moment to stay in the past instead of reliving it again and again. If you found this video helpful, tell me in the comments, what's one conversation you've replayed far longer than you should have? If you enjoy learning about psychology and human behavior, like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.